You were kind of in the forefront of let's conserve our production because we want that higher oil price, right?
In public, Sheffield had been leading an effort to put restrictions on Permian oil production.
So I'm still getting a ton of questions about this. I got this question from Chad. Is there any validity to this and the alleged impact on inflation/gas prices? Another source states this went back 10 years. If this went back 10 years, they didn't do a very good job because 7 out of the last 10 years, we've had very low gas prices. Now, there are some issues I have with that video. One, the alleged collusion cost Americans $200 billion a year. And two, that it was U.S. producers colluding with each other to cause oil and gas prices to rise. And here's the problem I have with the video. We all know that, one, it was years of those low oil and gas prices that cost us 1 million barrels a day in refining capacity. And two, that Donald Trump's OPEC 2020 deal is what caused record oil and gas prices up to the middle part of 2022. There is no question that the OPEC 2020 deal caused record gas prices in the United States. That is very clear. There's no question that it caused the rise in oil prices. And there is no question that our loss of refining capacity also contributed to those record gas prices then and contribute to higher gas prices now. People watched this video and heard this story and immediately conflated and associated all U.S. oil and gas producers together and made it seem as the entire U.S. oil and gas industry was participating in this stuff. Every U.S. oil and gas company that has been through a merger or acquisition in the last couple of years has been investigated by the FTC. The only person they have found to have inappropriate communications is Scott Sheffield with Pioneer Natural Resources. This is not a U.S. oil and gas industry collusion story. This is a Scott Sheffield story. And I'll finish with this. The idea that Scott Sheffield, an independent oil producer from the United States, could sway OPEC's decision-making is really ridiculous on its face. If you know anything about OPEC at all, you understand that even the leaders of OPEC, the king of Saudi Arabia himself, cannot keep the producers of OPEC in check. They make promises, they make agreements on production, how much they're going to produce, how much they're going to cut. They never do what they say they're going to do, even under the authority of the leaders of OPEC. So the idea that Scott Sheffield could cause all of these countries to act in a certain way with production cuts is pretty fucking ridiculous. That does not mean he didn't try. And that does not mean if he tried, it's illegal. If he tried to do that, that's absolutely illegal. And it'll be up to the Department of Justice to determine if he actually tried to do that or not. But the idea that Scott Sheffield could control OPEC and what they produce is one of the most ridiculous things I've ever heard. And again, it doesn't mean he didn't do anything illegal. What it does mean is there are very specific reasons for the increases in oil and gas prices. And Scott Sheffield is not one of them. And another very ironic thing, or something I've been thinking about, if Scott Sheffield wanted to do what he allegedly did, and he wanted to do it legally, all he had to do was run for Congress and win a seat in the House of Representatives. Because all the things he did is perfectly legal for our members of our government to do. Which is one of the reasons why our oil and gas industry is in the shape it's in. The whole narrative behind this story is this whole story was built to take any blame they can off of Joe Biden and place it on U.S. producers. It still does not address the simple facts that it was the actions of Donald Trump and OPEC that caused everything that everyone is upset about right now. Period. There's just no two ways about it. What OPEC has done for the last couple of years is exactly what they did during the Obama administration. As the United States continued to increase oil production, OPEC just continued to cut to keep prices high. They did that until they decided they were losing too much market share. They flooded the oil and gas market in 2014, and we had the largest crash in history. You would be very hard-pressed to convince me that U.S. oil and gas producers colluded to keep prices high during a time where we have achieved record oil and gas production. We have produced more oil and specifically more natural gas than any country in the history of the world. And because of that production, natural gas prices hit historic lows. The only reason oil prices didn't fall is because OPEC kept cutting production to keep prices high. And the idea that they did that at the request of Scott Sheffield, that's just ludicrous. Thanks.